Hi everyone and welcome back to Irish Footy Vlogs. With Keith again this week, and we're going to look back on the week's fixtures, the games we had. Some very interesting results this week, Keith. I suppose there's no better place to kick it off than the home of Irish football, Dalymount Park, where there was a 2-2 draw played out with Shamrock Rovers. What a comeback it was from Bohs. Very happy with the comeback. Very annoyed that we went 2 down and we have to do it the hard way to get a point, but a point against Rovers. A lot of people would take that all day long, but yeah, look, I'm delighted with the point. I have to look at the positives of it. You can. It was very annoying how it went, but look, it was a great comeback from the lads. A great fight. A great good game. It was a very good game in the second half, in particularly.
Yeah, I mean, the first half, I was there at the game. The first half was very, very poor. Both teams were very poor. I thought Rovers were very poor as well. From their point of view, I thought their passing was far too slow. Although you have to give Bowles credit because they blocked the spaces actually very, very well and sat back for the most part. They weren't really pressing, but Rovers was still passing it very slow and pedestrian. And even though they had a lot of the ball, the best chances fell to Bowles really in that first half. McDonald had a shot that just flashed wide, for example. And they looked a bit more dangerous going forward. Rovers didn't really offer anything going forward, actually, in terms of creating chances. But it led to a poor spectacle, let's say. But in the second half, then it all happened very early, and it was just an explosive second half. 2-2, 4 goals, chances for both teams, actually. Ferrugia scores early in the second half. It was a lovely cross, to be fair, by Sean Cavan and Ferrugia. It's a lovely header to make it 1-0. And boom, boom, I suppose. A brilliant finish from him to put Rovers 2 up for 54 minutes. And by that point, you think, Bows aren't going to get anything out of this game. There's no way to come back. In fact, you're thinking maybe Rovers will go on and get a third. And for a spell there, it looked like that was going to happen. But to be fair to Bows, and this is something I've commented on a few times, that people that watch the channel know that they're far more spirited this season, and there's no way they would have came back from this last year. And Afolabi scored a brilliant goal with his left foot in off the post to make it 2-1. Suddenly, the atmosphere in Dalymount came alive, and Rovers started shaking. To be honest, like that's the thing with Rovers this season. I have to say that it's funny because they are, as we speak, 7 points clear, but they've had games where they haven't put to bed that they probably should have, and Clark comes on as a sub, has a chance just before he scores a similar opportunity. Rovers actually made a mistake initially, and Afolabi gets down the wing and Clark composed himself to make it 2-2. And Connolly had a chance well saved by Poom. Rovers have a chance that just went over the bar. And really, either team kind of could have won it as such in the last 10, 15 minutes. And, you know, both teams would be pleased with aspects. Both teams would have been disappointed with aspects of the game. And Bowles would have been disappointed, as you say, going 2 down early on in the second half. We'd be delighted with the spirit. Um, Rovers would be disappointed, but they never generally they didn't really play well in the game. Did a 10-minute spell where did they get 2 goals? They're capable of doing that. They didn't play well. I thought Afolabi was brilliant. He was my personal man of the match.
Yeah. But I actually also talk, and I think nobody's talked about this. I think Poles for Shamrock Rovers had a very good game. I know he conceded 2 goals,
And
but
to be fair, Billy actually gave him man of the match. He made a brilliant save in the first half as well. I should have mentioned actually.
and
Yeah.
in the second half, with Clark's shot towards the end, I was heading for the top corner, and he pulled one out there. He rescued them a point, I
That was
thought.
Connolly, I think, actually, to be fair, but it's the same chance
Yeah,
we're talking about, aren't we? Yeah, yeah.
that
Yeah.
was that
Yeah,
was. I was
absolutely.
looking at that. Like, that's flying in. We've came back.
Yeah.
We've done it. And he pulls out. He pulls the goods out, and I think that's a very vital save of Shamrock Rovers. And it's
Mm.
a player that's not really been talked about his performance. I know Billy said it, but I haven't really heard many other people
He's been
mentioning it.
solid enough overall. I'm sure Shamrock Rovers fans will think that like he's not Alan Manis at his best, but he hasn't made glaring errors in the games,
Oh
to be
no, he
fair to him.
hasn't. Like,
Yeah.
look, he had a good game too. But look, what a comeback by Bows. Like you said, there's a fighting spirit in this team. Like this team is playing for Declan. Like they are turning up for him. I know we went two
A couple of
goals down.
things, Taz, as well. I thought the first half they got wrong, to be honest. I think they'd who they got Akintunde was wide and Coote was wide. Didn't really work. I felt like they needed to get more natural wingers onto the pitch, give them a bit more width
Yeah,
on that. And when they did
yeah,
get Connolly and McDade on, it did look better. Clark
he
gives you
did.
energy when he came on as well. So I don't know. Do you give Declan Devine credit for that, or do you say maybe he got it wrong from the beginning? It's a balance there, you know.
It is, but like he brought on the subs and like Clark in particular had a very good game when he came on. He changed the game for Bows. A very good low down finish inside the box, and he could have had another 2 goals easily. And he's definitely, for me, he should be starting out this week. For Sligo. I would have him in the team. I would also have Connolly and McDade if they're fit, both starting as well. I just thought they were brilliant, and they all added something to the game when they came on. Like they added to the game, and you look back at Bows last season when players came on, the quality nearly dipped at times rather than go up. And yeah, they just brought energy to the team. They brought pace. They brought directness. They brought attacking players. They were going at Rovers. They were dribbling at them. They were putting their defence under pressure. Shamrock Rovers had most of the ball for most of the game, but when Bows had it, I think we did more with it in terms of going forward, getting shots and all. Like, you can have the ball all day long or pass as much as you want. If you're not putting it in the net or having shots on target, it's not really much use to
There was
it.
a chance the Rovers had. I think they were 2-0 up in the game, actually. And Gaffney usually makes the right decision, but he had a shot. He actually jacked Byrne off to his left, and I think if he plays him in, Byrne scores. It was either 2-0 or 2-1 at this point. And that was something I thought that was actually very costly for them, because Byrne would have been 1-1 with Talbot and probably would have finished. But that's the way the game went as well. But you're right, Bowes generally looked a bit more threatening going forward, especially in that first half. In terms of Rovers didn't offer much going forward in the first half. They did have some chances after they scored, of course, and that, but Bowes, the Rovers defence didn't look at. I thought Pico Lopez got, and he's a brilliant defender, but Afolabi gave him a real game, so he did.
Yeah, but I think if there was any other defender up against Afolabi, 1v1s at times, I think Afolabi was in. I just thought he had a very good game. He was very strong on the ball. He really showed the player that's there. And if he can propel from that now, we've got a really good player in our hands. But I honestly think, there's not, Pico Lopez is probably the best central defender in the league. There's not too many more that are at his level, but I think if it was any other defenders, I think he would have been in a few more times. I think Lopez did very well against him. Like, Afolabi is very strong on the ball.
Yeah, it was
But
a really good battle. Yeah.
he needs to do more of this, though. We need to see more of this from a Bows perspective. Like, there's no point in turning it on every now and again. He needs to find consistency now. He needs to start doing this every game going forward. He needs to be this fast, dynamic, strong player that defenses fear going up against. That's strong in the air, strong on the ball, and can have a shot. Look, when he took that shot on his left foot first time, no, it went in. We need to see more of that, and it frustrates me at times when we don't see this. The same from Clark. He had a great game when he came on, but we need to see more of that. But other than that, look, disappointing to go 2 goals down, but brilliant to come back from 2-0 down against Shamrock Rovers. We'll take that and move forward, and hopefully we take all 3 points off Sligo now going forward this week. I suppose, Keith, next game we'll go on to, it's a Loud Derby. It's Drogheda 1, Dundalk 2. Dundalk with obviously they took all 3 points away from Drogheda. Drogheda had a lot of shots, 17 shots in the game, 3 were on target. Dundalk had 11, 4 were on target. Patrick Copeland got 2 goals, 1 was a penalty, and Freddie Draper scored his last goal for Drogheda. Honestly, comes back. Looking another good result for Dundalk.
Drogheda will be disappointed with this again. They were beaten 1-0 early on the season at home to Dundalk, and I was at that particular match, and it was a smash and grab, to be honest. But in this game as well, Foley gives them an early lead, 9 minutes, and Drogheda had chances to put this to bed, to be honest, to make it 2-0. Freddie Draper, who's been excellent for them this season, missed an absolutely 2 good chances. One absolutely brilliant 1-on-1 chance, which he doesn't hit well. Shepherd saves, you have to give him credit, but look, he doesn't hit it well. He doesn't connect with it well. They could have been 2 up before Dundalk even scored, but that man Hooban, we have to talk about him. 144 goals now for Dundalk, their all-time leading scorer. I could live to be 90, and I don't think that'll be beaten, because strikers generally don't stay at the club for so long. 144 goals, top scorer of all time for Dundalk. Does it in big games as well. He's had his injury problems this season, last season, but again, this was another big game. Lovely header on 78 minutes to make it 1-1, and then takes the penalty very calmly to give them the win. And he's been the best striker in the league as a whole for the last, I'd say, 10 years or something like that. And it's the goals he scores, and the important goals he scores, and the leadership he shows.
And consistency, Keith. Like every game, most games he puts in a good performance, whether he scores goals or not. He's a player
you know to play against as well. Like, he's very hard to play against.
And he plays in between 2 defenders at times, and you're looking at them, who's going to mark this guy? And from set pieces, he's dangerous. He's good at headers. He's strong on the ball. He can find a pass. Vision, work rate is very good.
Sometimes he drops deep as well, and he brings others into the game. Very good at early as well.
He's up with the midfield and brings everyone else into play.
Yeah.
Obviously, pace isn't something in his game. He doesn't need it with the way he
never
plays.
really had pace, even when he was younger. He's obviously a bit was a bit quicker, but that's not his main attribute anyway. So he can go on for another few years yet. And you know what I mean? Who's to say he can't get to 200 goals for Dundalk? You just don't
That'd be
know.
great.
But it's a brilliant win for Dundalk, and obviously him getting I suppose doing it in the Loud Derby is nearly perfect for him as well. And you know he's not scoring the consolation in a 2-1 defeat or something like that. So they win the game as well. But for Drogheda's point of view, they'd be disappointed because as well Draper and Awi, the right back, have been excellent for them. They're going back to Lincoln. They won't be available. Awi might be able to play one more game, I think, because Draper was sent off late in this game as well. So he misses the next game through suspension. But they're going to be big losses for Drogheda with the position they're in the table. They're in a battle with Sligo and Cork at the moment. And do you know what I mean? There's a real spirit in that club, though, and a real spirit in that team. Might be enough to see them through, but they're going to lose a bit of quality there when you compare it to Cork and Sligo now as well,
I personally think Drogheda will be okay. I don't, you hate putting teams down on relegation for who goes down, but I think we would all agree at this moment in time, with 12, 13 games to go, that it's probably, it's going to be UCD, it's going to be bottom. And I think Cork, potentially, I think it's going to be between Cork and Drogheda maybe for that next spot, but I just think Drogheda have enough to stay up. I really do, but I would fear if they went up against a Waterford or someone like that in a playoff that it might go down then. But look, there's no point in thinking about that yet. There's so much can happen. There's an awful lot of games to go. So it's looking at the here and now for Drogheda is, do they go back into the loan market? Do they try and bring more players in? I think they need to get another 2 bodies in because the energy.
If you get the right players as well, though, I often think this is windows difficult to try and get the right players in, though. That's the problem I have.
It is, and look, we've seen this with Bohs many a time. They bring in these under 23 players, and they're just no good. They just don't hit the ground running. But you could get lucky, Keith. You could bring in a player who scores the goals, that keeps you up. You could bring in a defender that keeps the ball out of the net for you and does a job for you and it keeps you up. Like, it's really luck towards the end of the season when you're going into this market. And other clubs too, like Bohs, for example, like I've heard whispers that they're going into the Polish market again. So who knows who they might bring up, but I do think Drogheda should try and go into the UK market and bring players in. I do think they need to bring another 2 or 3 bodies in, but I think they're safe. I think they've got a good fight about them and they're hard to play against. So that was the Loud Derby. I suppose, talking about the UCD, I actually want to talk about them next because it was UCT 2, Sligo 1 at the UCD Bowl, and Sligo had most of the shots in this game, most of the possession. An absolute howler from the goalkeeper for the goal. What was he doing? Like, as Roy Keane said, you're swinging punches at this. Like, there's just no getting away from this. That was just a brutal, terrible error to throw away, and you nearly blame him for all the 3 points gone. Like, what was he doing? Like, that was just a terrible, terrible piece of goalkeeping. And then UCD punished him then again towards the end with another set piece going in, and it's a great header that scores for me. And look, that's what UCD can do. But, they are the whipping boys of the league, unfortunately. But to have pulled out results like this, and you always fear going up against UCD that you will be the team where this happens. And it happens to Sligo, and it's a team Sligo should be beaten.
I actually said that, I think I said a week ago, I said UCD are going to finish bottom of the league, but they're not going to get no more points as the season goes on. So whoever drops points against them is going to be disappointed. Very disappointing. That's exactly what happened on Friday. Yeah. UCD picking up their second win of the season, but like Sligo will be very disappointed. You're right, because they're down near the bottom of the table now. They're in that battle for the playoffs now themselves, and they went in front 22 minutes. Hard to know if it was an OG or Cawley knocked it into the net, but anyway, they went ahead. But the chances, Mata, who has been great form this season, scoring goals, with 2 great chances in the game. A header that was well saved, to be fair, by Keane Moore, but another header that went over that you'd expect him to do better. But the goal that got them back into the game, as you say, with 15 minutes to go, I mean, McNicholas, I think, has time to take a touch and even play to the right where there's a free Sligo man. And okay, it's a bit unlucky in a way, you know what I mean? The ball can go anywhere after it hits the UCD player into the net, but it's a risky one. And they've conceded from it, and to be fair to UCD, they've gone on and won the game, and it's a brilliant header. The set piece was a brilliant header from Doyle on 85 minutes. A lovely delivery. An absolutely fantastic header by Doyle. Huh?
Yeah, it was brilliant. Like, we got right up, he turned his head and it's right into the corner of the net. No goalkeeper.
The pace is on the cross, to be fair. It's a brilliant cross.
Great ball.
Free kick cross, if you like. And it's still a brilliant header, all round brilliant. And fair play to UCD. You have to give them credit. It's tough coming out on every week. Sometimes talk about UCD when they're beaten every week, and You know what I mean? So you know, you have to give them credit for the win, and they will keep battling. They know it's unlikely they're going to stay up, but they'll keep battling. But as for Sligo, as you say, they're very, very disappointing. And I don't know if the recruitment was good enough or not. It doesn't look like it was good enough for me. It seems I did say before that Mata, if he's not scoring, I don't see many goals in the team. The likes of Fitzgerald doesn't score enough. They don't have enough goals in midfield through Morton and Bulger and players like that. You know, Livick is a decent player at times. He can go missing other times, doesn't score enough goals. So they're really lacking on the goal scoring stakes. In fact, they've only scored 21 goals this season as well. You know, that's very disappointing. You do wonder, you hate saying it because he's actually a really nice guy, John Russell, but you got to question things there. Is John Russell under pressure? I think they play Bowls this week. We'll get on to that later, but he has to be under pressure, and it's disappointing from a Sligo point of view. I actually had them down there at the start of the season. I thought it might have been a bit controversial, but unfortunately, it looks like I'm kind of right at the moment because they are in a battle with Sligo and Cork. And do they need to do something? Are they going to change management? Who knows? But they'll be very disappointed that result. But fair play to Andy Myler and UCD, because they were one down with 50 minutes to go. They could have collapsed or gave up, and they didn't, and they won the game.
I suppose though, you know, UCD in a way are playing pressure free. They're kids, they're a college team. Don't really have any hardcore fans. They've got no one breathing down their necks. If this was any other
put in the effort, like, and that's something you couldn't question them on.
What I'm saying is, if this was any other team in the league in that position, you know, if fans be on their backs, there'd be supporters going mad. There'd be a management under, you know, pressure. But they play pressure free every week to a degree. But look, they did very well to come back, and that goal from that header was just brilliant. Yeah. And yet you play very energetic and obviously a very young team. But Sligo have to be killing themselves over this. You're playing UCD. You need to be getting 3 points. You need to be keeping a clean sheet. You need to be racking up goals. You need that goal difference. It's UCD. You need to be getting the win. I'd be fuming if I was a Sligo fan throwing away points to UCD. I'd be fuming. And I'd be going mad at that goalkeeper. Like, what was he doing? Like, oh, sickening. No, I'd be going mad. It's very disappointing for Sligo to lose points to UCD. That's the game you're looking at. Like, you should be winning. You should be looking at that going, that's 3 points. We're going out to win. With respect, we'll give them a game. They're professional. But they should be beating them. And they didn't. And that's 3 points thrown away. And hopefully it doesn't come back to haunt by the end of the season. It very well could. But in terms of changing management, I don't know. Did he get sucked right into a battle? I don't think so. But killing yourself with that. But fair play to UCD. Moving on to your part of the world then, Keith. St. Patrick's 1, Shelbourne 0. What a free kick by Mulroney. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, what do you say? I mean, he's got great technique, but you do that 1 time out of 10, I'd say if you're lucky. It's just, there's nothing Cairns can do, who's been outstanding this season. And
yeah, he's a great player, great player. You can see that.
It's just an unbelievable to get that up and down. And the funny thing is, there's no backlift. He doesn't generate much power in it, yet there seems like there's a lot of power in it. So it's a brilliant free kick by Mulroney. And again, a game that they played 3 times this season, all been 1-0, all very tight. Pretty sure they've all been set pieces as well, if I remember, or maybe earlier on the season it wasn't directly from a set piece, but it came from a corner earlier on the season when Doyle actually scored. But yeah, this was a free kick as well. And a bit of debate, people wondering was a free kick or not. For me, it is a free kick because Lunny comes across and just knocks him over. I don't think there's a problem there, but there's not much you can do about the free kick. Shelbourne, I did watch it back. We're the better side in the first half. They had a chance through Jack Moylan, which he just played wide. He tried to place it into the corner. But Pats had a flurry of chances at the end of the first half, and McCormick had a shot cleared off the line. Carty was involved in another situation that was cleared off the line. And in the second half, I just felt Shelbourne kind of went back into that drop back scenario, which sometimes they do late or in second halves of games. And Pats came on to them a little bit and probably were the better side in the second half. But again, a very tight game, not much in it. And at that point, very good result for Pats, I suppose, just to get the win. And Shelbourne, bit disappointed. There was a bit of funniness, I suppose, people would have seen on social media. You have to laugh. And Duff was getting slagged by the Pats fans, and he gave them a bit of a gesture, which, look, I think it's hilarious.
Right. So, I actually love Damien Duff.
He actually got sent off after the final whistle, but I think it's funny. But the funny thing is, I think he did give Pats fans what they were looking for, a bit of a rise. Like, you know, it's hilarious. This is what you want to be for. I don't mind that once it's not something that's very offensive.
Of course,
something like that, in which it wasn't. And
of course, yeah.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. I think Duffer's a great character in the league. I think he's
I know he is. He's fantastic for the league in so many ways. And see, when he says something as well that might help the league as well, and which he has done a good few times, people will listen more, to be honest, because it's Damien Duff. So
yeah,
there's nothing wrong with that either. It's good to have an advocate like that for the league as well. And he'd be disappointed, though. He'd be frustrated, to be honest with you, that they lost 3 times to Pats this season, because they've only had 5 defeats and 3 of them were against Pats. But again, they just don't score enough goals. He does generally set them up very difficult to beat. We know that. And they are.
That's very difficult to break down for any team. It's very defensive. Like, without going into too much detail, we've seen it against when Ireland played against Fair Islands.
Sometimes they don't start off very defensive, but the more a game goes on, they do it. I find with Shelbourne.
They revert to 3 at the back with wing backs normally, but they keep them very wide, so they've got a lot of attacking width going forward. But then they're very defensively minded. But when you looked at Ireland against Fair Islands, there was 3 at the back. Why? There was no need for it. And I think sometimes Duffer falls down a little bit, being a bit too cautious, I think, against teams. If you're 1-0 down and it's 80 minutes, why not go for it? If you're not relying on goal difference to keep you up in the league, why not throw a few bodies on, go forward, switch to an attacking formation, just try and go for it. But look, all 3 points gone to Pats again. A clean sheet, 1-0. You have to be happy with that against a Dublin rival.
Yeah, Pats have to be happy to get the 3 points, as you said there as well, in that game. And, they're in the race for Europe. I don't think Shells are quite there yet in terms of being in a race for Europe. I think there's sides that have a little bit more quality. I don't think they have enough in midfield, to be honest, I think midfield is the area they could do with someone either a bit creative or someone who really keeps them, take a bit of class in midfield. And they have good players in midfield, and they're off the ball, they can be excellent as well. But I'm not saying everybody has a Chris Forrester, but they don't have a player like that, say, in midfield, or somebody like that in midfield.
Call a luxury player, if you will. And I think if they were to lose,
I wouldn't even say luxury player. No, just someone who moves the ball very well, even and keeps them going. In midfield with a couple of workers. It's a very workman-like midfield, the likes of Coyle and Lunny and players of that in there. I think that's probably where they're a little bit behind, maybe, when I think about it. The other teams, obviously, Sean Boyd's a good player. He's back. Probably not quite fit enough yet, to be honest with you, but he's back there, and they do have attacking threat, as I said before, with Smith and Moylan and players like Shane Farrell. So,
be interested to see
progress Shells, and I think they'd be happy enough generally with how they've done so far. I think overall,
it'll be interesting, Keith, to see if Shelbourne can get any players off Hull in this window. Any some youngsters over, attacking players, fast players. Could be their first loan to the club. 12, 13, 14 league games to go. Could happen. Be interesting to see if they do.
Yeah.
Was moving into our last game then on Friday night. Was Derry 2, Cork City 0 up at the Brandywell. Long drive back home for Cork. Keith.
Yeah.
4 shots on target. Derry got 2 goals. Jamie McGonigal first half, Ginty in the 98th minute to get all 3 points and a clean sheet. It's very difficult for Cork, for any team going up to Derry, but it's a good result for Derry, but you feel sorry for Cork with not even a shot on target.
Well, it worked for Derry on Friday night because Rovers dropped points. We'll get on to Monday's games in a minute, but that worked for them. They've been really struggling at home at times, Derry, particularly at home, generally, in scoring goals and that. And to be honest, in this game, they were quite fortunate. In the first half, Cork were the better side and missed some great chances. Tunde Obalavi went off injured early-ish, and Murphy came on, Keane Murphy, and he missed 2. He had 1 shot where he hit the post, and he missed a great chance as well. And you just wonder if Tunde was in that position, particularly for the one where he would have been 1-on-1. As such, would he have done better? Bolger then, who looked a bit offside, but he wasn't given it, missed a fantastic chance. Again, 1-on-1 with the keeper. This is all at 0-0, by the way. Sorry, that was at 1-0 down, but he did miss a great chance, Bolger, as well. So Cork had chances in this game, and you'd think if they went in front there, he might have been under pressure. Gonigal scored a good header in 45, to be fair, after very good work from Brandon Kavanagh. Out-muscled. Can't remember who the Cork player was, actually. It might have been O'Donovan. He out-muscled and got a lovely cross in the box. McGonigal finished as well. And Tiernan McGinty, only 17 years of age, scored in the last minute to give them a 2-0 win. And it sounds comfortable. It wasn't really that comfortable, though. But as I said, from Friday, they would have been happy with the 3 points. Cork would have been relatively happy with the performance. 9th in the league, but still in that race with Drogheda and Sligo, to be fair.
Yeah, and Liam Buckley's taking the reins for the rest of the season too. It's been confirmed.
Yeah.
And he's keeping the coaching staff of Richie Holland, Deck Coleman with him. So look, best looks all around the rest of the season. Hopefully Cork do stay up. I like having a Cork in the league. I don't like seeing them when they go down. So hopefully they do stay up. And hopefully their fans stick with them. It's still an awful lot more games to go, and they will pull some points out. And Cork's a hard place to go to. But look, credit to Derry. 3 points, 2 goals, a clean sheet, a young player scoring. That's a job well done for them. But moving into Monday night's games then. Back to Dundalk and St. Pat's. It's a 1-1 draw. Dan Kelly gets the goal for Pats 1-0. Conor Carty's goal is the first goal of the game, 33rd minute. Take us through this one, Keith. You're away from home.
I think from a Pat's point of view, generally, I think at the start of the game you're pleased with a point at Oriel Park because Dundalk can't gain in Pats. Like, that kind of way. You'd be pleased enough with a point. Circumstances of the game, Pats will be disappointed. Dundalk will be quite pleased, to be fair, because as you mentioned, Carty scores in 33 after a decent move. Poor defended by McCourt, though, who just easily gets pushed off the ball. Not pushed off the ball, but beaten, let's say, by Mulroney. He plays a lovely reverse pass to Murphy, and Carty taps it in. But Tulloch was sent off early enough. Tulloch was sent off early enough in the second half for Dundalk, and maybe a little harsh. He was already booked. I can see why he was booked, but could the referee let him away with it? Maybe said one more foul. I don't know. Might have been a little harsh, that angle with Doyle. Huh?
I don't think so. I think it's an early yellow and it's a red. If he's not on a yellow already, it's a yellow card. So if that's
maybe so. Yeah, maybe so. But even aside from that, Pats have chances. Murphy had a good chance, which he missed. Carty and Mulroney had chances as well. And they should have put the game to bed against 10 men when you're 1-0 up, let's be real. But Kelly nips in after 85 minutes to make it 1-1. And to be honest with you, it's a calamity at the back from Pats. I know some people have been blaming Linus, some Lewis. But the way I come from it is that obviously it's a miscommunication between the defender and goalkeeper. But Lewis can deal with it. The ball is there to be dealt with. He decides to take the risk and leave it for the keeper and hope the keeper comes out. But it's Oriel Park. The pitch as well can be a bit iffy, the bouncy and that kind of thing. But he can deal with it. He can hook that clear easily and ask questions later. That's what he can do. He doesn't do it. And Kelly, brilliant from him because he's opportunist. You can see
you have to give credit to Kelly. That was some burst of pace.
That's what I'm saying. He sees it early that there's a mess up there and he can nip in. He does well and he takes it well and ultimately gets a very important point for Dundalk. But possibly kicking themselves, to be honest. And it's a poor goal to give away, no matter what way you look at it, though. But
I wouldn't be happy with that. I was a Pats fan. 4 defenders there and a goalkeeper, and it's not got rid of. Dan Kelly sees the ball, goes for it, he runs directly.
The ball still has a good distance to go before Lewis decides to almost point to give it to the keeper. And you don't know what way the pace of the ball is going to be after the bounce. The fact is, Lewis can hook that clear and there's no problem.
I know. I'm a big fan of that. Just get rid of it. It's so late in the game. What are you doing?
You're taking a chance that the keeper's going to come out and do the right thing. Now, the keeper's hesitant as well. But you're taking a chance, is my point. He doesn't have to take a chance. He can just clear that easily.
That rots me to the core. Like, why take the chance? Unless the goalie shouts for it, right? If the goalie shouts for it, I can understand him leaving
even if he shouts for it, in my opinion. What's the worst that can happen? You clear the ball out for a throw-in.
Especially so late in the game. Look, you might understand it if it's the 30th minute, but it's so late in the game. What are you doing? Like, oh, no. That's a point. That's points drop key. It's just things like that. It rots me.
It's a huge point for Dundalk because down to 10 men, 1-0 down, and Pats had chances there that potentially there could have been 6 points behind Pats, which would have been a decent gap at this stage of the season when it comes to fight for Europe. So they'd be delighted to nick that point, having got the good result in the Loud Derby at the weekend. So they've got ultimately in the last 2 games they've gained the 4 points on late enough goals, if you know what I mean. So they'll be delighted with that.
Yeah. Well, look, they've got a lot of individuals in that team that can hurt you. That can hurt any team in the league. And if you're a Dundalk fan, you have to be very happy with that result. I know I would be anyway. So credit to them. Well done to Dundalk. Moving on to the final game then on Monday night was Shamrock Rovers 1 against Derry. I think that's a great win for Shamrock Rovers. Rory Gaffney scored in the 27th minute. Look, Shamrock Rovers has to be happy with that. You know, Derry coming down to you, it's never going to be easy.
I was at this as well. I'm making a face because very disappointed in Derry's performance, to be honest with you. I thought Rovers won this 1-0 comfortably, almost in second gear. And Derry are the team they're supposed to be challenging Rovers. Rovers haven't been at their best generally this season, but they're 7 points clear now after that win. Derry had a lot of the ball in the game, an awful lot of the ball in the game. They didn't do anything with it. They didn't
Derry
really
had
create one good chance in the game. King having a bit of a header late on-ish. You never know 1-0, but they were very poor in possession. But I thought Diallo was really poor for Derry. The amount of times he gave away simple ball was unbelievable. And I know they're missing players like McElhenney and Duffy, and you're missing players like that, and Connolly isn't quite fit enough and all that kind of stuff. But Rovers are missing players as well, to be fair to them. And, in this game, they'd be disappointed. Ferrugia, by the way, and Byrne went off injured. But Rovers had a spell for about 10 minutes where they were decent. Gaffney scored a goal, which Marr seemed to crawl across to try and get to. It was very strange, actually. A good finish, Gaffney does well. But Cleary, Lopez, and Hoare had an easy night, in my opinion. Very comfortable for Rovers without playing anywhere near their best. And as I said, it's very disappointing from Derry because I expected Rovers would have had to do more to get the 3 points. So, for me, Rovers, it depends how much. I don't know how much they're going to win the league by, but they've been vulnerable this season and they're still going to win the league easily, in my opinion. No one else is good enough to get near them.
No, they're not. But you look at that Rovers team, like even the midfielder, Ferrugia, Byrne, Poom, Towell, Kavanagh, that's what started. Then the two strikers, Gaffney and Kenny. Like, what a team of individuals to have. The subs that came on for Rovers will walk into any team. Liam Burt, Simon Power, Burke, and Watson Gannon. Like, what a team. Like, that's just brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. But look, I suppose it's easy when you have money, Key. At the end of the day, it is. And a lot of the top teams are the ones.
To be fair to them, we say it's easy when you have money, but remember Derry City have money as well, and they're not quite living up to my personal expectations. They're not quite living up to my personal expectations at the moment, I have to say.
They've only came into money recently, though.
I know, but even so, Rovers, I know that as well, and you're right. Rovers took a little while to get going, didn't they? Under Bradley.
If you look at the Derry team, like they could improve individuals throughout the team, get a top defender, a top midfielder, and a top striker.
More of a case of that is the fact that Shamrock Rovers haven't been great this season and haven't accrued many Rovers have only won 13 games out of 23, and yet they're 7 clear of Derry. Derry won 11, drawn 6, and lost 6. That's nowhere near good enough, like.
Well, it's not, no, and then again, it's showing that it's not how to leave, and Rovers are still way up there, and they're the next best, and
it could be different if Rovers were on, like, you know what I mean? They were won 18 or 19 out of 23, and Derry were 7 points behind them. But Rovers' points total isn't that high for someone top of the league. That's the point I'm making, and they're well off at Derry, really, and they just look well off at the Monday in reality.
Well off, but then I am in hope for Bows. We've 2 games still left to play up to second place. And if we get 6 points, we're up to second. So anything can happen in this league. It's a crazy old league. I suppose we'll look forward to next week's games. Then we'll give your predictions on both. I suppose we're better to start. Shelbourne against Derry. I'm going to go with 1-0 Derry win.
You feel like Derry have to win this, but I don't think they will. 1-1.
Oh, I like it. Cork and then Drogheda. I think it's going to be a very tight game, but I can see Cork getting all 3 points here. We're going to go with a 1-0 Cork win.
That's actually a massive game, isn't it? It was a 1-1 draw earlier on the season. Oh my God, this is tough. Will Tunde play? Honestly, I'm finding this. You went Cork 1-0. I'm going to go Drogheda 1-0. I think they might nick it.
Like it. Sligo at home to Bows. I'm going to go with a 2-0 Bows win. I just think we're going to really put it up to them, and I really hope we play like the second half against Rovers. And I think we should come away with goals and all 3 points.
Sligo's form has been terrible, but they'll want a reaction after that UCD game. Again, these are difficult to judge, aren't they? Very difficult to predict, aren't they? They really are, these games. It's great. This is on Friday night, and it's usually on a Saturday in Sligo. 1-1 draw.
1-1. I don't like it. St. Pat then are home to UCD, which I think could be a tricky game for Pats. After UCD's win, they'll be full of confidence, and all the pressures are going to be on Pats. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw.
Ooh, hypothetically, I think it's the easiest game to predict. I still think Pats will do it, Daz, to be honest. 2-0 Pats.
And the final game on Friday night sees Dundalk play against Shamrock Rovers. Good. Again, it's a tough one. The call, I think it's going to be a hard game for both teams, but I'm going to go with Shamrock Rovers to win 1-0.
Rovers away form has generally been better this season. They did hammer Dundalk Oriel early on the season, so Dundalk will remember that. But I think Rovers might nick this one. I'll be at this game, by the way. Doing a match day vlog, so I'll get that out of the way. 2-1 Rovers, but I hope it's 6-6 for the vlog.
Oh, I like it. Thanks everyone for watching. Let us know your predictions down below. Hopefully your team gets all 3 points this week. Let us know your thoughts on how your team did last week as well. And thanks for watching. And like and subscribe. Thanks very much, Keith.
Thank you, Daz. Brilliant.